Great. So I'll get started by going over what I'll be covering in the webinar today. I'll talk a little bit about Resemble and a little bit about what we do, just for those who are new here. And then I'll be going into our different product updates. So we'll be covering Resemble Fill, emotion gradients, global phoneme and substitutions. We'll also be covering our editor settings, some of the tweaks we made to that, some of the tweaks we made to the recording settings. And again, we'll have ample time at the end for questions. We have so many different things that we're working on, but I just wanted to give a little bit of background on what we can do using our AI voice technology. With Resemble Fill, which I'll be talking about a bit today, you're able to edit audio pretty instantly, and you can edit out different words, you can create programmatic content, and then with voice cloning, that's the ability for us to clone different types of voices and create pretty high quality AI models based off that. There's Resemble Localize, which allows you to create voices and voice models and translate them across various languages. So even if somebody doesn't speak a particular language, you can have their voice have it speak a different language. We have Resemble Style, which allows you to copy over the style of one voice and the mannerisms and cadence associated with that and apply it to another voice. We've recently launched our Resemble Voice Actors Marketplace and have been growing it with really high quality professional voice actor AI voices. So you'd be able to use them for various projects. We have a Resemble API, which allows you to do very cool things with the technologies that you guys are working on and be able to do all that we can with our AI technology. And then finally, we have Resemble GPT-3, which is our integration with OpenAI's GPT-3, which allows you to create content pretty instantly. And it's a pretty cool application. And there's a separate webinar I did previously on that, which you guys can check it out on our YouTube channel. And all this, what it allows you to do is do very cool things using voice technology for different use cases, such as for call centers with voice assistants, advertisements, games, digital media, and so much more. A lot of you have been while you registered, you mentioned all the different use cases you were planning on using it for, and it's pretty amazing to see how we can apply our voice technology to so many different things. But now I just want to get started and dive right into our product updates. So to get started, I'll actually just showcase something quite simple that we've been working on, which is the search functionality. So now in Resemble, you can search for different items within particular clips. So for example, if you're on the home screen, type in tomatoes and you'll see why I picked that today. You'll find the exact clip which uses that. So you're able to find your clips easier, which makes it pretty easy to manage once you get to it. So let's start with our recent feature addition to global phoneme and substitution. So here I created a couple of samples. And just to showcase, global phonemes, what it allows you to do is match the phoneme of a word and the exact way you want it to pronounce it. And you're able to set that as a preset in Resemble now. So for example, the sentence before used to sound like this.
I really like eating a tomato.
And now with phonemes, it would sound like this.
I really like eating tomatoes.
So you can see now, instead of saying tomatoes, the standard way of saying it, you're actually able to go in and set it up so that it says tomatoes. And I'll show you exactly how you'd be able to do that. So for example, here you go in tomatoes, you can either select phoneme here, so you can apply the correct or whatever way you want it to pronounce the phonemes either through here, or you can set it up as a template. So what you're able to do is go click right here and go into phonemes, and you can set up the exact way you want it to pronounce it. So you can see here, the pronunciation is set up so that it pronounced tomatoes as tomatoes. And you can create that simply by adding that, adding in pronunciation and applying that as well. So that's just something that we've done in the backend to make it simpler for you guys to get the exact pronunciation you guys want. The second thing that we did is word substitutions. So instead, if you don't want to play around with the phonetics, what you can do is you can actually just type in how you want a word pronounced. For example, there's the French brand Hermes. But if you were to play that traditionally, this is what it would sound like.
My favorite brand is Hermes.
So you can see it doesn't get the pronunciation quite right. But what you can do is set up a word substitution. And again, you can either do that here under substitution or go here and select it again. So for example, you have the word that you set up here, and then you can just type in what you think it would sound like. So I typed in EHR, MEZ, and created that. So now anytime I go in to the project and I type in Hermes, it'll automatically switch to pronouncing it like that. So this is what it would sound like.
My favorite brand is Hermes.
So you can see now it's nailed the pronunciation based on the text that I've written down instead of pronouncing it the old way, which was again.
My favorite brand is Hermes.
So that was just a quick demo on our global phoneme and substitutions. Another thing I wanted to point out is we've added a setting here, functionality, where you can actually change the output of the audio to get the exact format and the sample rate that you want. So for example, if I don't want to download this as a WAV file, you can simply pick MP3 and download it as an MP3 instead. And this has been quite a requested feature that we've gotten. So we've implemented that. You can change the sample rate that you want the audio output to be in, as well as the bits as well. So that's just something that we added to give you guys different options when exporting a different audio clip. All right, so now I wanted to dive a little bit more into Resemble Fill. So Resemble Fill's an interesting use case that we've been working on, where you're able to add in a sample audio clip, and you'd be able to edit it so that it sounds just perfect. You can change different words around, and this would act on the original voice actor voice clip. And the way you do that is now in your project window, you'll notice that there's this tab here called Fill. So all you have to do is click that. You click Upload Audio for Fill. You can drag and drop your audio file or click it to find which audio file you want to use. I'll be using this one, which sounds like this. And this is the original voice clip from the voice actor.
The train now boarding at platform 4 is the northbound Green Line service to Haymarket.
So that's a voice clip that I want to use. So I'll add that in. And after adding it in, you can add in the transcription for that file here. So the train now boarding at platform 4 is a northbound Green Line service to Haymarket. Make sure it aligns well with the audio clip and just click Add Recording. Once that's done, the recording is now added and you'll see this little tag here saying that it's Resemble Fill. So what you can do is you can edit any of these parameters. So instead of platform 4, you can write down platform 5, and it will actually generate that using the original audio clip.
The train now boarding at platform 5 is the northbound Green Line service to Haymarket.
Or if you want to get rid of something, you can even remove different words. So let me just take out Green Line, and you'll notice that it also edits it.
The train now boarding at platform 5 is the northbound service to Haymarket.
Perfect. So that's one part of Fill where you're able to edit this audio, and you can imagine it'd be useful for someone who wants to just edit a simple voice clip, and they don't want to generate a lot of different audio or work around that. This allows you to just edit audio as simply as it is to just edit text, which is a pretty useful feature. Another thing you can do with Resemble Fill is with the use of variables. So for example, here you got some variables that you can set. So platform 5, I can set that variable as a number. You can double click and assign it values. So let me do 4, 3, and call this number. So now if I generate this, it'll generate all the different variables instantly.
The train now boarding at platform 4 is the northbound service to Haymarket. The train now boarding at platform 3 is the northbound service to Haymarket.
So you can see you can play around with a bunch of the variables. So here you got direction, color, and it'll generate all those different variables and combinations instantly, and you'll have that audio for you to work with. So that's what's exciting about Resemble Fill. Now I can talk a little bit more about our emotion gradients. All right, so this is something that's quite unique about Resemble, where you can edit audio and make it sound just perfect. And the main reason why you'd want to use emotion gradients is to get your audio, again, just sounding just right. And there's various parameters that you can tweak. So for example, if you click emotion, you'll notice that you can change the pitch, the intensity, and the pace. And I'll be showing examples of how all those might sound like. But what's new about the emotion gradients is that now you can actually create different presets. So you can see I already created a couple here, and I'll show you exactly how we can do that as well. And with the use of emotion gradients, you can get audio sounding from something like this, which is like the normal way to speak.
This is how I normally speak.
Versus this.
This is how I speak when I'm excited.
And again, the emotion gradients work best when the voice actor has recorded samples within that range. So if they have like emotion within a voice or a subset of data which has emotion, the emotion gradient works perfect for that. And then with different things, like for example, for this, you can apply the upward inflection or question. And so instead of this,
is this a question?
You can get this.
Is this a question?
So you can see there was like a slight inflection at the end there. And all it had was the emotion preset of question, which you can apply as well. In this sample, what I did was for the whole sentence, I created a gradient of the pace. So I had it slow initially and then had it speed up and have the ramp. And the way to do that is pretty simple. You just have to click here, click on pace, for example, in this case, and then you can adjust the parameter. And it's pretty simple to do that. And you can have like smooth curves in it as well. Another cool thing is you can actually click this little drop down right here and adjust the values within each case. And get it sounding, again, just perfect. So this is what it would sound like when you have like a ramp up.
Hey, it was nice meeting you, but I have to go now, bye.
So you can see it kind of sped up a bit near the end there. Or you can do something with this, where you have the sample.
I'm so happy for you.
And you can change the pitch.
I'm so happy for you.
So you can see, again, this was like a ramp up of pitch, where you had the voice actor voice go high pitched towards the end. Again, this works best if you have the voice actor record with different sets of data. So this is emotion gradients. And if you wanted to, for example, set up preset, what you could do is click on emotion. And suppose you want to, again, do something with the pitch there and high intensity pitch. And you want to save that as a preset. What you could do is you just create a new preset, name it pitch ramp up, and you can save that. So now anytime you want to apply it, you can just click on it, click on emotion, and apply that preset. And you can see it applied it right away. So you can have these presets available in order to have the emotion. So again, so that's the emotion gradient. And the best part is that, again, we have like SSML support, so you can go in there and use this with SSML. You can use emotion gradients as well with our API. So you can, again, get that voice and that voice clip sounding just right. Perfect. All right, so I covered most of what you can do and what's new with global phonemes and substitutions, Resemble Fill, and emotion gradients. And now I wanted to talk a little bit more about building the voice and what's new things we've added there. So for example, now when you go to build a voice, you can click on new voice, give it a name. I'll call it demo voice. And there's two options that you choose from. There's recording your voice on the platform, or you can upload recordings as well. And this is available on our premium plans. And again, when you're uploading any recordings, we do require that you do have the consent of whoever, like the voice data that you're uploading. and that's important. So for recording voice, you'll notice that when you go to record a voice, there are now a couple of settings that we've added. So first of all, you can pick whichever microphone you want to use. So if you have an external mic, which you feel is higher quality compared to the one built into your computer, you can select that. We also added in 3 different settings for auto gain control, echo cancellation, and noise suppression. And again, if you enable these, it will, for example, remove echoes from your microphone and audio clip. And this is just, again, to help you improve the voice when recorded right on the platform. For the voices that are uploaded, again, let me demonstrate that. The way it would work is you would go to create a voice and you can upload recordings. You would select a file and you would choose a data set. And the format for the data set, you'll get a notification saying if it's the proper way. So we accept zip files, tar, gz, but make sure to have like the transcript as well as the audio clips in there. Or you can upload a WAV file. So both work. And once you start creating the voice, you'll notice that now there's an ability for you to manage that voice. So you can go in once the voice has been trained, click on manage, and you'll see this feature here called edit voice. And this is pretty exciting because once you go in here, you can see all the different voice clips that were added in the data that was uploaded. And you'll get feedback on whether or not if there's like a clip in the transcript, how the alignment is, and how you can improve it so that you can improve the model that your voice was generated with. So for example, here you got a needs improvement, and you can click the drop down to see what might be wrong with this voice sample, and you can see its completeness. So you can see that maybe there's a misalignment with the transcript and the audio that was sent. So you can hear the playback here.
I have another agent on the line now with us to help you out.
So you can see here, instead of having now before with us, the transcript, I guess, was misplaced. So once you figure that out, you can edit it. So again, I'll just play back.
I have another agent on the line now with us to help you out.
Okay, so you can simply edit the transcript, and you can decide to keep that sample instead. And so now that that sample's been fixed, you can just add that to the other samples that are good, and then you can click create voice again. And just to, I guess, show you how it would work, for example, here are a couple of good samples. So these are good, and right over here, we also have some excellent samples. So these are samples that sound good, are complete, have good pronunciation, have good pauses. For example, this one.
Was there anybody in particular you wanted to talk to?
So you can see that this sounds pretty great and is a good sample for the AI to train on. So this is something that we've implemented so that it's a lot easier for you to edit your audio and create models that sound great as well. So for the ones that need improvement, you can deselect or select them once you fix them and include them within the AI voice model. And yeah, so these are all the features that we've had. We can get into answering a little bit of the questions. And I know that there have been some requests that have come in as well. So if there's something that you want me to demonstrate, I can do so as well with the time that we have. Just wanted to also say that currently this web platform is English only. But if you guys have other requirements for different languages and stuff, feel free to get in touch with us, and we can work with you, especially with the API, to see how we can make that happen. All right, so let me dive right into questions. So first question we have is from Simon. Simon's asking, Wave PCM 16 and 32 is available as export, but Wave 16 and 24-bit is most common in all tools I'm using. Will it be a 24-bit export as well?
Yeah, I can take this one. So there will be 24-bit export as well. And we can quite easily add that to the to-do list to support in the near future.
All right, and Gretchen's asking, thank you for your presentation. What are the top genres that AI voices are being used for today? Transportation companies, telephony, bank, finance, and others.
Yeah, so like all of those above. We've also had media, entertainment, gaming. So there's tons. Anywhere that you can imagine you need scale with speech is a great place to put AI voices. So anything that you are have that has like interactive responses or has personalization elements to it or has scalability such that humans aren't able to perform that, it's a great place for AI voices to be. Another is languages. So going across, we support French, German, Italian, Dutch, and English for a product that we demoed, I believe, a few months ago now called Localize. So we're able to take one particular language and convert it to another. So those are all aspects where AI voices could be used.
Julian's asking, so does it do the question inflection automatically by default if there's a question mark in the statement?
Yeah. So the short answer is it does. Now, what ends up happening is humans, we typically think that it's a very common question. We typically think that all questions end with a upward inflection. That's not always the case. They're depending on the data set and the VO, whoever recorded it. We've noticed that there are different ways of asking questions, sometimes that are quite obvious to the voiceover artist, but not very obvious to the listener or to the user. So we don't have an automated way of always enforcing an upward inflection, but we wanted to make it fairly easy for anyone to do so at the moment. But typically, if a user, if a customer does want a question with an upward inflection all the time, that is something that we can bake into the voice models, so that they always strongly predict one way or and not the other. So in short, the answer is it does do the question inflection automatically. It's just that it's not always like an upward inflection.
All right, Stacy's asking, when do these all roll out?
Most of these are, or if not all of these are available today. So there's nothing that Fawad is, he's not using a secret website. He's using the one that you guys have access to. So all of those are accessible. Some of them are like the dataset uploading functionality is currently fairly early. We want to make sure that the right people are using it. So it is typically only for, it was only for enterprise customers. We're rolling out to other paid customers now. But so if you have like custom data that you want to upload and manually figure out how to make it better or make your AI voices better, then we're able to do that. But everything that you see there is accessible to everybody.
Yep. And we do have some pretty cool stuff behind the scenes. And if you guys have any custom work as well that you guys are thinking about, then definitely reach out and we'll be happy to see if there's something that we've been working on that can help out with that. All right. Yusuf is asking, hello, do you support French?
Yeah, so I'll take this one and Simon's question as well. So French and other languages. So we do support French among other languages, and the list is growing all the time. So with French, Spanish, Italian, Dutch, German, Russian, Japanese, Mandarin, Hindi, Arabic, etc. Those are all supported languages. If there's something I missed, just feel free to reach out to us. We typically have it supported, and there's an exhaustive list on our website. I think resemble.ai/localize should have a list. But yeah, those we do support French. The only difference is that we don't have an automated recorder for French, so we don't have a script that you can read that will generate a French model out of the box. But if you do reach out to us, we're more than happy to collect your data manually and give instructions on how to submit data to us in order to build voices in different languages.
All right, so Simon's asking, I realize that training data is only for speaking voices, but is it possible to tweak with emotions? So what happens if the voice actor is recording his or her voice by singing? And do you have any experience with that? And they would love to try it in music productions.
Yeah, so we've, in terms of emotions, we're extremely flexible in how we handle emotions. So basically any emotion that the user can identify in the data source is reproducible by the AI. So if the data source has shouting, then the AI voice will also be able to shout. But if the data source doesn't have something like whispering and you want whispering as an emotion, it's just not possible because it's something that the voice has never seen before. But to your question about singing, that is something that's definitely possible. It's possible in the sense of that the model will sing back. It's something that we haven't quite dug into a lot, but we can get it to the point where it can sing like the data set that was provided. However, where we currently struggle and what we're working on, and we're trying to still work from the angle of speech and not music or singing, but is more granular controllability to really stretch out the words. And this kind of relates to a question that Bob has in the chat, which is imagine if you have something like "It's so good to see you again," and you want the "so" to be exaggerated. We do have the pace control, which allows you to stretch out the duration of the word, and that essentially you can get something like "It's so good to see you again" if you lower the pace on the "so." So that's definitely possible, but singing has like a lot of other aspects to it that we currently don't quite support. So there's no guarantees that it'll sound good.
All right, we got Turbialdo asking, is there any possibility of Resemble AI launching a version of its tool in Portuguese?
So yeah, Portuguese is a language that we do support if that's the question of like voice cloning itself. So if you do have a data set in Portuguese, feel free to contact us again. You can reach out to Sakib at Resemble.ai. He'd be happy to help there.
Perfect. We got Aha asking, how many minutes and individual samples of my voice do I need to get the model trained and performing well?
Yeah, it really depends on the domain in which the voice lives in. So there are certain domains that don't need a lot of data, and there are certain domains that need a lot more. One of our focuses in hopefully the next product update is to make it as extendable as possible. So for example, you might be building a voice for IVR, and hopefully your IVR agent is never angry for some reason. So it's fairly the domain for IVR is fairly particular. So with 20 minutes of data, we typically get great production quality IVR voices. But then if you have something like a game, which your character has different performances and different emotions, then typically we can go up to about an hour to hour and a half of data just to get that all sorted out. So it really does vary, but the only thing changing between 20 minutes of data to about an hour and a half of data is the flexibility in the emotions and the prosody that come out, rather than the actual audio or voice quality. The audio or voice quality reaches its peak at about 10 minutes of data. And beyond that, it's just making the prosody better, making the inflections better, making it more tunable, etc.
Perfect. We got Burke asking, are the other languages as high quality as English?
Yeah, so we're constantly working on some of the other languages. So there are languages that are very much on what we consider very much on par with English. French, Spanish are two of them. Then there are languages that we are constantly building for. So German, Dutch, Japanese, Mandarin, Hindi. These are like all very active development languages where we're always collecting more data to improve our models. So yeah, as we go along, we'll hopefully get all the languages as to the quality that English is in.
Perfect. We'll take a question from the chat from Bob. He's asking, is there an acceptable percentage of, say, 100% to be a good sample? And what would be a good starting percentage? So 70%, 80%, 90% of the clone was sample.
So I believe the question is asking for the score that we send in the email to you with your voice. So typically above 90% is what we consider good or great. 70% will be like understandable, but you might mispronounce a few words, but you should definitely aim for everything to be above 90%.
And then we got a question from Kurt who's asking, can you train with pre-recorded audio and script?
Yes, you can. So I believe Fawad maybe breeze through this really quickly, but when you're building a voice, there is this button. There's two options. You can either record on the platform or you can just upload pre-recorded audio. And when you submit that pre-recorded audio, there's a few options in there, which one of them is at the very high level submitting just a WAV file, but you could attach a WAV file with a text file, which is the transcript for that audio. And that basically makes the entire process a bit smoother. You can also do a step ahead. You can segment the audio for us. So when Fawad was showing each of the samples and audio recordings from the data set that was uploaded, you can actually go ahead and like upload, wave that one dot wave, two dot wave, three dot wave with corresponding text to each, or transcriptions for each one. So it's fairly flexible, and depending on what kind of data source you have and how much you want to mangle with it on your own before uploading it, there are a few options there.
All right, so we got a question from Ingmar asking, what are the current limitations on the free version?
Yeah, so with the free version, we allow you to build your voice using the recorder, so you don't get the ability to upload any audio source that you want. That's typically because we of our resources on our end to do all that work. But you can build a voice just by recording audio using the recorder. You have access to the entire tool, all of the API, all the functionality and feature set there. But the only thing that we do is limit you to about 2,000 characters a month. So that's 2,000 letters in a month. So that's the only limitation. But in terms of feature set, you're not, apart from the raw audio files, you're not limited in any way.
And all the the demonstrations I did today, like you will be able to also play around with it on the free version. And we also do have like a breakdown on our pricing page. So that's at resemble.ai/pricing, and you'll be able to see a nice breakdown between our different plans as well. Thank you everyone for coming out to our webinar. And again, if you have any questions, feel free to email us at resemble.ai, or you can message us using the little chat widget on our website as well. See you guys at the next webinar.